got home inside to see it yet.
Okay, your honor, start the show.
How about sitting down? Gentleman at the window.
Oh,
How about sitting down?
sorry.
All right, is everybody here?
The old man's inside.
We'd like to get started.
Oh, forgive me, everyone. I didn't mean to.
That's all right, just find a seat. Now, I'm not going to make any rules about this. You guys can go about it any way you'd like. If you want to discuss first, then vote. That's one way. Or we can vote right now and see how we stand.
Yeah, let's vote now. Who knows? Maybe we can all go home.
Yeah, let's see who's where.
Right, let's vote.
All right. I guess we'll go by hand then. All those voting not guilty, or all those voting guilty, raise your hands. Nine, 10, 11. Right. That's 11 for guilty. Not guilty. 1. Okay. Vote is 11 to 1.
Someone's in left field. You think he's not guilty?
I don't know.
I never saw a guiltier man in my life. You sat in court and heard the same thing I did. What makes you think he's not guilty?
I don't want you to go over the reasons for what you think. I mean, I don't know yet.
They proved it a dozen different ways in court. Do you want me to list them?
No.
So, do you believe his story?
I don't know whether I believe it or not. Maybe I don't.
So what'd you vote not guilty for?
There were 11 votes for guilty. It's just not so easy for me to send somebody off to die without at least talking about it first.
Who says it's easy for me?
No one.
What, just because I voted fast? The guy's guilty and you couldn't change my mind even if you talked for 100 years.
I'm not trying to change your mind. I just want to talk about it a little bit. I mean, look, this kid's had a hard life. He's lived in a slum all his life. He's had society knocking him on his head since he was practically born, and his mother died when he was 9 years old. I mean, this kid's had a really tough life, and I think we just owe him a few words, that's all.
Look, mister, I don't mind telling you this, but we don't know anything. He got a fair trial, didn't he? Do you know how much that trial cost? Look, you're not going to sit here and tell us that we're supposed to believe in him knowing what he is. I've lived among them all my life. I can't believe a thing they say. You know that.
I don't know that. Since when is dishonesty a good characteristic? You have no monopoly on the truth.
All right, it's not Sunday. We don't need a sermon.
What this woman says is very dangerous.
I don't see any need for arguing like this. Why can't we all behave like adults?
Right.
If we're going to discuss this case, let's discuss the facts.
That's a good point. We have a job to do. Let's do it.
Excuse me, if you guys don't mind, I'm going to close the window. Who's blowing on my neck?
I may have an idea here. Now, I'm just thinking out loud now, but it seems to us that we have to convince this gentleman that we're right and he's wrong. Maybe if we each, tried it on for size.
That sounds fair. Supposing we go once around the table.
Okay, let's start it off.
I guess you're first.
Oh, well, I just think he's guilty. I thought it was obvious. I mean, nobody proved otherwise.
Nobody has to prove otherwise. The burden of proof is on the Constitution, or the burden of proof is on the prosecution. That's in the Constitution. It's the Fifth Amendment. You've heard of it.
Well, sure, I've heard of it. I know what it is. What I meant, I just think he's guilty.
Okay, let's get to the facts. Number one, let's talk about the old man who lived in the apartment under the room where the killing took place. At 10 minutes after 12, he said he heard loud noises in the apartment upstairs. Then he heard the kid yell to his father, "I'm gonna kill you." Second later, the old man hears the body fall, runs to the door, sees the kid running down the stairs and out of the house, and then calls police. Police find the father with the knife in his chest.
And the coroner fixed the time of death at around midnight.
Right. Now what else do you want?
The boy's entire story is flimsy. He claims he was at the movies. That's a little ridiculous, isn't it? He couldn't even remember what pictures he saw.
You're right. You hear her? You're absolutely right.
Look, what about the woman across the street? If her testimony doesn't prove it, then nothing does.
That's right, she saw the killing, didn't she?
Let's go in order.
Hold on just a minute. Here's a woman who's lying in bed and can't sleep. It's hot, you know? Anyway, she looks out her window and right across the street, she sees a kid stick a knife into his father. She's known the kid all his life. And she swore she saw him do it.
Through the windows of a passing elevated train.
And they proved in court that you can see through the windows of a passing L train at night and see what's happening on the other side.
I'd like to ask you something then. I how come you believed her? She is one of them, too, isn't she?
You're a pretty smart fellow, aren't you?
Take it easy. Let's just calm down. Let's not be so sensitive. Just relax. Well, what do you let him get you all upset?
Let's calm down now, okay? It's yours.
I'll pass it.
That's your privilege. How about you?
Well, I don't know. I started to be convinced, with the testimony from those people across the hall. Didn't they say something about an argument between the father and the boy around 7 o'clock that night? I mean, I could be wrong.
I think it was 8 o'clock, not 7.
Yeah, it was 8 o'clock. They heard the father hit the boy twice and then saw the boy walk angrily out of the house, but what does that even prove?
Well, it doesn't exactly prove anything. I just thought it was part of the picture. I never said it proved anything.
Anything else?
No.
Alright, how about you?
I don't know. Most of it's been said already. We can talk all day about this thing, but I think we're wasting our time. I mean, look at the kid's record. At 15, he was in reform school. He stole a car. He was picked up for knife fighting, and I think they said that he stabbed somebody in the arm. That's a very fine boy.
Ever since he was 7 years old, his father used to beat him up. He used his fists.
So would I. A kid like that.
You're right. It's the kids. I've got a kid, He's tough now, but when he was 8, he ran away from a fight. I was so ashamed, so I told him right out, I'm gonna make a man out of you, or I'm gonna rip you off into little pieces trying. And then when he's 15, he hits me in the face. He's big, and I haven't seen him since. Oops. Keep going.
We're missing the point here. This boy, let's say he's a product of a filthy neighborhood and a bad environment. We can't help that. We're not here to discuss why slum grounds are breeding grounds for criminals. They just are. I know it, and so do you. The children who come out of slum backgrounds are potential menaces to society.
You said it there. I don't want any part of them, believe me.
I've lived in the slum all my life.
Wait just a minute.
I used to play in a backyard that was filled with garbage. Maybe it still smells on me.
Now let's be reasonable. There's nothing personal.
There is something personal.
Let's calm down, fellas. Let's not be so sensitive.
I can understand her sensitivity.
Let's stop bickering. It's your turn.
Alright. There was something peculiar to me about this trial ever since it started. The defense counsel, this guy was hired to defend the boy, and yet he barely seemed interested in what he was doing. And at the end of it, too many questions were left unasked.
What about the questions that were asked? For instance, let's talk about that cute little switch knife. The one that fine, upright boy admitted lying.
Alright, let's talk about it. I'd like to see it again, Mr. Foreman.
I don't see why you have to see it again. We all know what it looks like. What do you think?
Gentlemen have rights to see this.
Fine by me.
This knife. It's a pretty strong piece of evidence. Don't you agree?
Yeah,
The boy admits going out of his house after being slapped by his father.
or punched.
Or punched. The storekeeper was arrested the following day after he admitted selling the knife to a boy. It was the only one he had in stock. Why did the boy get it? As a present for his friend of his, he says.
You're right. Now listen to this woman. She knows what she's talking about.
Next, the boy claims that the knife must have fallen through a hole in his coat pocket on the way home, and never saw it again. Now there's a story, gentlemen. You know what actually happened? The boy went home, and a few hours later stabbed his father with a knife, and even remembered to wipe off the fingerprints. Everyone involved with the case identified this knife. Now, are you trying to tell me that someone found the knife, picked it up off the street, and went to the boy's house and stabbed his father with it, just to be amusing?
No, I'm just saying it's possible that the boy lost the knife and that somebody else stabbed his father with a similar knife. It is possible.
I still don't see what you're trying to say here. It's just such a rare knife. What are you trying to do?
Yeah, who do you think you are?
Look at it. It's the same knife.
Quiet, let's be quiet.
Where did you get it?
I got it around the corner from the boy's house at a little store. It cost $2.
Now listen here. You pulled a real smart trick here, but you proved absolutely zero. There could be 10 knives like this. So what?
Maybe there are.
The boy lied and you know it.
He may have lied. Do you think he lied?
That's a stupid question. Sure he lied.
Do you think he lied?
You don't have to ask me that. You know my answer.
Do you?
I don't know.
Now wait a second, what are you, the guy's lawyer? Listen, there are still 11 of us who think he's guilty, and you're alone. What do you think you're going to accomplish? If you want to be stubborn and hang this jury up, he'll be tried again and found guilty sure as he's born.
You're probably right.
So what are you gonna do about it? We can be here all night.
It's only one night, a man.
Well, whose fault is that?
Not a fair argument.
How about Stephen?
Look, I just think we need to calm down and discuss this just calmly. Whose turn is it now? We gone through all the people?
We've, yeah, everyone's talked. You know what? Let's just get on with it then.
Maybe another vote's in order, I don't know.
Another vote. All right. I guess.
Yeah, I want to make a proposition. I want to make another vote. This time I want to do it by secret ballot. I'll abstain, and if there are still 11 votes for guilty, then we'll walk out of here with a guilty verdict. I won't stand alone.
Okay, let's do it.
That sounds fair. Pass these along now. Pass these along. All right. Guilty. 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 Not guilty.
How do you like that?
Who was it? I think we have a right to know.
Excuse me, this is a secret ballot. We agreed on that point. If the person wants to remain
Oh,
secret.
there are no secrets in here. We all know who it was. What's the matter with you? You come in here and you vote not guilty, and then this slick preacher starts to tear your heart out with stories about slum kids and injustice, and then you change your vote to not guilty. If that isn't most
Now
sickening,
hold it.
hold it. We're trying to put a guilty man into the chair where he belongs, and now all we're talking about is fairy tales.
Now just a minute.
Please, please. I'd like to say something here. In my own country, I didn't have the right to disagree.
What are we supposed to listen to now? The whole history of the country?
Yeah, let's stick to the subject. I want to ask you something. What made you change your vote?
She didn't change her vote. I did. Maybe you'd like to know why.
No, we wouldn't like to know
Woman
why.
wants to talk.
Thank you. This man chose to stand alone against us. It takes a great deal of courage to stand alone, even if you believe in something greatly. He gambled for support, and I gave it to us. I'd like to hear more. The vote is 10 to 2.
That's fine. If your speech is over, let's get on with it.
Well, let's talk about more stuff. Like, for instance, well, what do you have to say?
There's nothing to say. The woman saw the killing through the window of a passing elevator train.
Yes, the woman.
She saw the window through the killing of the train of the last two cars. She remembers the most insignificant details.
What do you have to say about that?
Well, let's not forget about the woman across the street. She looked open into her open window and saw the boy stab his father. And she saw it. Now, if that's not good enough for you.
It's not good enough for me.
How do you like him? It's like talking into a dead phone.
Like I said, she saw the killing through the windows of the last two cars. She remembers important details.
isn't a game.
The hell do you think you're doing?
Alright, let's take it easy.
Did you see him? The nerve. The absolute nerve.
All right, forget it. It didn't mean anything. Come on, sit down.
Take a look at this sketch. How long does it take an elevated train to pass a moving point?
What does that cost you anything?
Just guess.
I wouldn't have the slightest idea.
What do you think?
10 or 12 seconds?
Sounds about right. Anyone else?
I think about 10 seconds maybe.
All right, say 10 seconds. What are you getting at?
An elevated train takes 10 seconds to pass a moving point. That point is the window of the room in which the killing took place. Now, the old man swore that he heard the boy say, "I'm going to kill you," but one thing isn't quite clear to me. Have any of you actually ever lived next to the L tracks before? When your window is open and that train is rushing by, you can barely hear yourself think.
All right, you can't hear yourself think. Will you get to the point?
The old man heard the boy say, "I'm going to kill you," and 1 second later he heard the body fall, right? 1 second, that's testimony. Okay. And then the woman across the street said she saw the killing, she saw the boy stab his father through the last 2 windows of the L train, right? The last 2 cars.
What are you giving us here?
An L train takes 10 seconds to pass a given point, and that given point is the window in which where the killing took place. But if she saw it through the last 2 cars, that means that the train had been going by the old man's window for at least 6 seconds, or maybe more, before he heard the boy say, "I'm going to kill you." And with the train going by, it's not possible he could have heard it.
What do you mean? Sure, it's possible.
Could he have heard it?
He said he yelled it. That's enough for me.
I don't think you could have heard it.
Well, maybe he didn't hear it. I mean, the owl noise.
What are you talking about? Are you calling the old man a liar?
Well, it stands to reason.
Why would he lie? What's he got to gain?
Attention, maybe?
You keep coming up with these bright ideas. Why don't you send one into a newspaper? They cost $2.
Why might the old man lying? You have a right to be heard.
I just looked at him for a long time. His jacket was split under the arm and he walked with 2 canes. I know him better than anyone here. After 75 years, he's finally getting the attention he wants. This is an important thing to remember.
What do you know about this? How come you're so knowledgeable on this topic?
Are you trying to tell us that he lied about a thing like this just so that he can be important?
No, he wouldn't really lie. Perhaps he'd make himself believe that he heard those words and recognized the boy's face.
Again, I say, how do you know this?
I speak from experience.
Alright, anything else?
Do you want one at a coffee shop?
Come on, let's get on with it.
I'll take one. Thanks. Now, there's something else I'd like to point out here. I think we've proved that the old man couldn't have heard the voice say, "I'm going to kill you," but suppose he did hear it. I mean, how many times have all of you used that phrase? "If you don't get this done right now, I'm going to kill you. Oh, I'm so angry I could kill you." That doesn't mean we're actually going to kill somebody.
Now, hang on. The phrase was, "I'm going to kill you." And if anyone says it a way the kid said it, they mean it.
And how they mean it.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, do you think that if the boy was really going to kill his father, he would have shouted it out so the whole neighborhood could have heard it? You know he's too bright for that.
Right? He's a common, ignorant slob. He don't even speak good English.
He doesn't even speak good English.
I would like to change my vote to not guilty.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
Okay, the vote is 9-3 in favor of guilty.
Well, that is in the end. What are you basing it on? The stories this guy made up? He ought to write for Amazing Detective Monthly. He'd actually make a fortune. Listen, the kid had a lawyer, didn't he? Why didn't the lawyer bring up all these points then?
Lawyers can't think of everything.
Brother, you pull out stories out of thin air and expect us to believe that the old man didn't get up out of bed, ran to the door, and heard the kid beat it downstairs 15 seconds before the killing. He only did this to be important.
Did the old man say he ran to the door?
Ran, walked, what's the difference? He got there.
I don't remember what he said, but I don't see how the old man could have ran to the door.
He said he went from his bedroom to the front door. That's enough, isn't it?
Wait, where was his bedroom again?
Down the hall somewhere. I thought you knew everything. Didn't you know that?
No, I'd like to see the diagram of the apartment, Mr. Foreman.
Why don't we have them run the trial all over again so we could get everything straight? Hmm?
Mr. Foreman,
Oh, I
Okay, what's this now? How come you're the only one who wants to see diagrams all the time?
No, I want to see this one too.
I want to stop wasting time.
If we're going to start waiting for this nonsense about where the body was found.
we're not. We're gonna figure out how an old man who's had 2 strokes in the past 3 years and walks with a pair of canes can get to this front door in 15 seconds.
Ridiculous waste of time.
Is this what you wanted? Ah, yes, that's right. Thank you.
May I?
Do me a favor. This is over.
Alright, this is the official diagram of the apartment. Now, here's the old man's bedroom, then here's his main hallway, and here's the front door. Now, according to the old man's testimony, he got up out of bed, walked, and got down to his hallway and opened the front door just in time to see the boy running down the stairs, right? 15 seconds after he heard the body fall.
He said 20 seconds. I thought I heard him say 20.
So anyways, the bedroom, his bed is 12 feet from his bedroom door. And then the hallway is about 43 feet, 6 inches or so. Now, do you really think it's possible they could have gone all that way just in 15 seconds?
He said 20 seconds.
You know it's possible.
Is it?
He can only walk very slowly. They had to help him into the witness chair.
Oh, what are you doing now?
I want to try this thing. I want to see how long it would have taken him. I'm going to face off 12 feet.
You're crazy. You can't recreate a thing like that.
Maybe if we could see it. This isn't important.
Ridiculous waste of time.
All right, somebody hand me a chair. Now, how far would you guys say it is from here to the end of this room?
I said it's about 20 feet. Just about.
All right, so about 20 feet. Now that's from here and back, that's 40 feet, and that's shorter than the distance the old man would have had to have walked, right? Yep. A few feet, okay. So from here to there is 12 feet, and then from here and back is 40 feet. So this is just like the old man's apartment. Okay, who's got a stopwatch with the second hand?
I am.
All right. And when you want me to start, stamp your foot. We'll say he keeps his canes at his bedside, right?
Right.
Okay.
Walk faster. You walk twice as fast as that.
I think that's even quicker than the old man walked in the corner.
If you want me to walk faster, I will. Stop.
Right.
How long was that?
15, 20, 30, 31 seconds exactly.
31 seconds.
It's my guess that he was trying to get to his front door, saw somebody just running, and heard somebody running down the stairs, and just assumed it was the boy.
Assumed. Now listen to these people. I've seen all kinds of dishonesty in my day, but this little display takes the cake. What's the matter with you people? This kid is guilty. He's got to burn. He's slipping through our finger.
Our fingers? What are you, his executioner?
I'm one of them.
Perhaps you'd like to pull the switch.
For this kid, you bet I'd like to pull the switch.
I'm sorry for you.
Oh, don't start with me.
What it must feel like to want to pull the switch.
Shut up!
You're a sadist.
Shut up!
You want to see this boy die because of what you want personally, not because of what happened in the trial.
Shut up! I'll kill you! I'll kill you!
You don't really mean you'll kill me, do you?
Is everything all right? I heard some noise. No, everything's fine. Hold on. You can take this back where,
Well, what are you all looking at?
responsibility. That's the remarkable thing about democracy. That we're notified by mail to come down to this place and decide the fate of a man we've never met before. We have nothing to gain or lose by our verdict, and that's what makes us so powerful. We shouldn't make this personal.
Well, we're still getting nowhere. Who's got an idea?
I think we should try another vote.
That's all right with me. Anybody doesn't want to vote?
I want an open ballot. I want to know who stands where.
Okay. I guess I'll call off your numbers. I vote guilty. Number 2.
Not guilty.
Number 3.
Guilty.
Number 4. Write these down. Number 5.
Not guilty.
Number 6.
Not guilty.
Number 7.
Guilty.
Number 8.
Not guilty.
Number 9.
Not guilty.
Number 10.
Guilty.
Number 11.
Not guilty.
Number 12.
Guilty. 6 to 6. I'll tell you something. A crime's being committed right in this room.
Vote is 6 to 6.
I'm ready to go in that room right now and declare a hung jury.
I go for that too. Let's take him to the judge and let 12 other guys decide on his chances.
You mean you still don't think there's room for reasonable doubt?
No, I don't.
But excuse me, maybe you don't understand the term reasonable doubt.
What do you mean I don't understand it? Who do you think you are talking to me like that? How do you like this guy? He comes in here running for his life, and before he can even take a big ride, he's telling us how to run the whole show. The arrogance of him.
Wait a second. Nobody around here is asking where you came from.
I was born right here.
Or where your father came from? Maybe we should listen to someone who came running here. Maybe he has something to say. We don't know everything.
Please, I'm used to this. Thank you.
It's not okay.
Okay, I apologize. Is that what you want?
That's what I want.
Now let's stop arguing. Does anybody have anything constructive to say?
Something's been bothering me a little. This whole business about stabbing kind of sound illegal, you know?
I'll quit talking about it. It went over and over in court.
I know they did, but I don't go along with it. The boy's 5 feet 8 inches tall. The father is 6'2". That's a difference of 6 inches. It's very awkward being stabbed down just because someone who's half a foot taller than you are.
If you want a demonstration, I'll give you one. So someone stand up. All right, now keep a good eye on me. I don't want to have to do this again. Is this about 6 inches?
That's a little more than 6 inches.
All right, let me more.
Look out!
That's not funny.
What's
Oh.
wrong with you?
Oh, shut up. Nobody's hurt, are they?
No, nobody's hurt.
Well, there's a stab wound. Down and in. Take it or leave it.
Not in. I guess it's no argument.
Have you ever stabbed a man?
Of course not.
Well, then where do you get all your information about how it's done?
It's just common sense.
Have you ever seen a man stabbed?
No.
The boy was an experienced knife fighter. He was even sent to reform school for knifing someone, right?
That's right.
So he knew what he was doing, but doesn't this seem like a really awkward way to handle a knife?
What are you talking about? It's just perfectly fine. The most comfortable way I felt. What do you think? You're the expert on slum stuff.
Wait a second. Give me that knife.
Have you ever seen a man stabbed?
Yes, I have.
In the movies?
No, in my backyard, across the street, in the vacant lot across the street. Too many of them. I guess you try your best to forget stuff like that. It's funny I never thought of it. Anybody who had ever handled switch knives never would have stabbed downward. They would have stabbed underhand.
Well, then he couldn't have made the wound that killed his father.
No, not if he had any prior experience with switch knives.
I don't believe it.
I agree.
Was there any other testimony that anybody thought was particularly important to this case?
I don't think so. Maybe one other one, but can't remember off the top of my head. What do you think? You've been arguing a lot. I want to hear what you think.
Maybe we ought to try another vote, see where everyone stands.
getting so lengthy.
Well, what about the woman across the street? I think as far as I'm concerned, that's the most important testimony.
You're right. It's one of my best points, though. You can throw out all other evidence. She proves it, if anything.
Does anyone believe they could recount it accurately?
I believe I can. The woman claims that she went to bed at around 11 o'clock. She went to bed and she tossed and she turned all night, unable to fall asleep. Finally, she turned around and she saw the boy stab his father. To me, this is an unshakable testimony.
You're right. Like I said, you can just throw out all other evidence.
That was my feeling.
Well, maybe there's just too much evidence to sift.
The woman was wearing glasses in court, wasn't she?
That's very mindful. She never took them off.
So does my grandmother. So what?
Your grandmother isn't a murder witness.
Now wait a minute. Did she wear glasses at all? I don't remember.
Of course she did. The woman wore bifocals. I remember very clearly. They look strong.
Oh, that's very bifocals. She never took them off.
Well, she wasn't wearing them in bed, that's for sure. She testified that in the midst of her tossing and turning, she happened to look out her window, and that was when she saw the boy stab his father. I'm guessing she saw only a blur.
She did wear glasses. Funny. I never thought of it.
Well, I still think the kid's guilty.
Does anyone else think that there is not room for reasonable doubt?
Well, I told you, I think the kid's guilty.
You're alone.
It takes a great deal of courage to stand alone.
Well, I said the kid's guilty. What else do you want?
Your arguments.
I gave you my arguments.
We're not convinced. We want to hear them.
It's me. I have a right. It'll be a hung jury. That's it.
You have a right.
You're all alone.
It takes a great deal of courage to stand alone.
All right. Not guilty.
So I guess we can all leave now, right?